Get ready, Padres fans. It's time for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Tatis at third, 2 outs. Fernando takes off. He's going to steal home without a play.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Boston Red Sox in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Red Sox, right-hander Josh Winkowski, and for the Padres, right-hander Matt Waldron. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. as the Padres go for a 3-game sweep at Fenway Park. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, you'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, plus we hear from today's starting pitcher Matt Waldron, and in just a little bit, we check in with Jesse Agler. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres enter with a record of 46-41, a season high, 5 games above 500. Padres have won 5 in a row and 9 out of their last 10 games. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are 43-39. Red Sox were playing some very good baseball entering this series. They had won 10 of 13 entering Friday. The Padres put together another huge offensive performance yesterday at Fenway. Let's take a quick look back.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
The Padres had a 1-0 lead in the top of the third. There was a runner on base for Manny Machado.
Here's the 3-1. Machado swings, sends it in the air to deep left field. O'Neal's back to watch, looking up, gonna go over the monster seats and out onto Lansdowne for Manny Machado. A 2-run homer here in the third, his 9th of the year, and it's 3-0.
Let's go to the top of the 4th inning. Padres still leading 3-0. Jackson Merrill led off.
Here's the 1-strike offering, and Merrill swings, hits it in the air to deep left center field. Duran is back on the warning track, looking up, gonna go! Jackson Merrill the other way over the monster. Homers at Fenway for the second straight day, and the Padres lead at 4-0. That is the first home run Houck has allowed to a left-handed hitter this season.
The Padres had that 4-0 lead heading to the 5th inning. They would add on in a very big way. Luis Arraez walked to start the inning. Jerkson Profar singled. Jake Cronenworth was next.
So they're on the corners for Jake, another left-handed hitter. First pitch swinging, and a ground ball base hit into right field. Arraez will come in to score. No dramatic buildup, just a first pitch swing and a 5-0 lead here in the 5th.
Manny Machado then dug in and did big-time damage again.
Here's the 0-1. Machado swings, sends it in the air to deep center field. Duran is back, still going back, looking up, gonna go! Onto the tarped-up seats in the batter's eye. Second homer of the day for Machado. A 3-run shot in the 5th, and the Padre offense at it again. 8-0 here at Fenway.
Red Sox starter Tanner Houck, who came in with the lowest ERA in the American League, came out of the game after just 4+ innings. The Padres hanging 8 runs on him. They weren't done, though. Red Sox reliever Bailey Horn came in. Ha-Sung Kim hit a 2-out single. Brett Sullivan was next.
Here's the 1-0. Sullivan, hard hit in the air down the right field line. Taking aim for the pesky pole. This one, gonna go! Home run, Brett Sullivan, his first of the year. Tucked it inside that right field foul pole. The 4th homer of the day for the Padres. It is 10-0 here in the 5th.
After the Padres had a 9-run fifth inning on Friday, a 6-run fifth inning on Saturday, Padres had a 10-0 lead after 5. Michael King gave up a leadoff home run to Jarren Duran in the bottom of the 6th inning. That's all he gave up in 6 very solid innings. Jackson Merrill collected his 3rd hit later in the game, an RBI double to make it 11-1, and that was our final score. And that sets things up for today's game at Fenway Park. The Padres going for a 3-game sweep of the Red Sox. Let's go to Boston.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Jesse, let's begin with your morning at Fenway Park. Based on your Instagram stories, it looked like you were inside the Green Monster today. How'd that go?
Very cool. It was something I definitely wanted to check off the list while we were here in Boston. And when we were sitting up here getting ready about an hour and a half ago, whatever it was, Dave pointed out the door was open. It was locked with a master lock when we got here on Friday. So took advantage, and in the heat and the humidity, made the not actually that long walk out to left field here at Fenway Park and let myself right in. And interestingly, it was cooler inside the Monster than it was out on the field. I thought it was going to be just sweltering in there with the weather as it is, but it was kind of like a bunker in there and actually kind of comfortable. It was like a wine cellar, the dirtiest, least wine-filled wine cellar ever maybe, but it sort of had that sort of dampness to it inside the Monster. So pretty cool. There's a bunch of little cutouts and places to stick your face through and see the action if you're back there, and they had all the different, numbers and letters and team abbreviations hung up on the walls. I'm sure I'll post more pictures later. And just a really, really cool thing. Obviously a unique feature in Major League Baseball. And first time getting to do a game here, so I wanted to make sure to check that out.
And I assume you got to sign your name inside the Monster somewhere?
I could have had I remembered to bring a marker or a pen with me. But in my excitement to get down there, I did not. It's fine. There doesn't need to be a Jesse Agler autograph inside the Monster.
Okay, that's okay. And I got to tell you, as I see the autographs in there, it looks pretty packed. So, and maybe at the point where you can't really see the actual names of people who sign in there anyway. But Jesse, glad you got in there. One more Boston note for you. I got to say, just listening on the radio, seeing some photos, it seems like there are a ton of Padres fans in Boston this week and a big Padres presence at Fenway.
Oh, no doubt about it. It was very noticeable from before the game on Friday. And look, they're not packing this place every night like they once did, the Red Sox fans. So there's an opportunity there. And then, look, you factor in the fact that the Padres haven't played here since 2013. And if you were going to plan a trip, you go, hey, late June, Boston, that sounds pretty good. And it sure looks like a lot of Padre fans took advantage of that opportunity. Even looking down now, not a ton of people in the seats, still about an hour to go until first pitch. But, all I see is yellow, or gold, for the Padre colors and a bunch of people in City Connect stuff. So There's no doubt that the place has been, really filled with Padre fans. And obviously the way the games have gone, first 2 games of the series, they've had plenty to cheer about. So they have not only been seen, they have been heard as well.
All right, very, very cool. We'll see what's in store for the Padres here today. Let's talk about the first 2 games of this series. My goodness, the offense, 20 runs, 28 combined hits. You put it perfectly yesterday. I think you called it machine-like, the way the Padres are operating offensively. Your thoughts on what this team has done these first 2 days at Fenway Park, especially with the big inning?
Yeah, it's been obviously great and fun to watch, outscoring the Red Sox 20-3, collecting 28 hits in the first 2 games. But I tell you what, it's really impressive. Just the fact that this team right now has won 9 out of their last 10 games, that they've gotten the best results, that they've gotten in any stretch all season long right now, with the guys missing that are missing. And, Tony and I talked a little bit about it at the end of the game yesterday, but, a big chunk of it, I think it's fair to say, is the power of Manny.
Right.
With the way Machado is swinging the bat right now, he is one of those guys, and there really aren't a lot of them around baseball. But when we sort of, casually throw out the term carrying a team, This is what we're talking about. Now, is he doing it by himself? Obviously not. It seems like everybody is contributing, and in fact, in Game 1, everybody had a hit. Everybody scored. In yesterday's game, almost everybody had a hit, and almost everybody scored. So it's not a one-man show. I certainly don't mean to say that, but when you have a guy of his caliber and his quality producing the way that he is, this is what tends to happen. And really, it's the first time all year that Manny has been in full Manny mode, if you will. And we're seeing, the results of that. But look, obviously, I don't mean to diminish, the contributions that are being made by guys like Merrill and Higashioka and obviously Jerks and Profar, all of whom have just been playing incredible baseball. It's fun. It really, really is. And it speaks to the depth of this team, not only in terms of the replacement guys, but the depth of the starters, that you are missing a Tatis, that you are missing a Campusano, that you are missing a Xander Bogaerts.
Right.
But there's enough other regular guys of tremendous quality to kind of be able to continue the analogy, keep the machine running. And not only is it running right now, it's kind of full steam ahead, and it has been a lot of fun to watch.
Jesse, quickly on Matt Waldron, who will make the start today against the Red Sox, a guy the Red Sox have not seen before. And you look at the numbers for Matt the last nearly 2 months now, they've just been terrific. And I think at a point, Jesse, where you're starting to sort of expect it, start in, start out for Matt Waldron. That's how good, how consistent he's been. Your thoughts on what Matt Waldron continues to do here as he has really established himself in a very big way?
Yeah, he's been great. And look, the thing about knuckleballers, and we've talked about this some, but probably should more, is that, part of being a knuckleballer is you're going to have days when you get absolutely shelled. It's just the reality of it. We talk often here in Fenway about the late, great Tim Wakefield. You go back and look at his, game logs, from any given season, and there's some really good ones in there, but there's some really, really tough ones. That is just the nature of being a knuckleballer. Now, with Matt Waldron, it seems like the calculus is a little bit different because he's got all the other stuff, and he's able to throw it the way he is. And you look back to that last start that he made, what was it, Monday against Washington, the knuckleball was not happening early on. It just wasn't. And, I think for a traditional knuckleball pitcher, that would have been big, big trouble. But that was not the case for him. He sort of, pivoted and started doing it a different way. And I loved the way Mike Shildt said it after the game that night. He said he turned to the art of pitching. And that was exactly it. He said, all right, I don't have the feel for the knuckleball. It's not doing what I want it to do. Let me rely on this sweeper. Let me spot up some fastballs. And then eventually he did get a feel for the knuckleball, and he was able to get himself through 6 innings, only allowing 2 runs. That was wildly impressive. And if he's able to do that, in addition to having the days when the knuckleball is really doing its thing, boy, goodness, you're going to talk about a guy who is going to be very, very valuable in this rotation.
Yeah, really, really good points all the way around, Jesse. And I think even going back to spring training, talking to Matt about that knuckleball, there's always been almost like a little hesitancy on his part to really define himself as a knuckleballer. So maybe that's a good thing when it's not really working and he can, mentally rely on a number of other pitches as well. Jesse, appreciate the time as always. Very glad you got to experience such a great weekend at Fenway Park. So much history in that building. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 10:25 a.m. here in San Diego. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sam. Thank you very much. And just heads up, it is not a perfect forecast today, so don't go disappearing anywhere in the late innings.
I know. I will not have any lengthy lunch today. All right, Jesse, thank you. That is Jesse Agler joining us from inside Fenway Park as the Padres get ready to take on the Boston Red Sox. Oh, no, I don't want any weather. We've got a nice early morning start time here on the Padres Radio Network. I'll be honest with you. Hey, I've got dreams of a nice Padres win, getting out of here around, 2:30 and going to the beach. So no rain today in Boston, hopefully. Fingers crossed. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, we have much, much more to do. We'll hear from Matt Waldron, and we'll hear from one of today's starting outfielders, Bryce Johnson, as well. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there, too. Let me know, how are you enjoying Padres baseball on this Sunday morning? It's a little Padres and pancakes for you before 10 a.m. with our pregame coverage. As always, feel free to send me a photo. You got the coffee in hand, you got the pancakes on the griddle, you got the French toast, the waffles, the cereal, the yogurt, maybe a little yogurt parfait, something like that. Let me know. Tweet at me, DM me. How are you getting ready to enjoy Padres baseball on this Sunday as the Pods go for a 3-game sweep of the Red Sox? Our pregame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for this series finale at Fenway Park. Appreciate you joining us on this Sunday morning. Little Padres and pancakes for you. Padres playing some very good baseball right now. They've won 5 in a row. They've also won 9 out of their last 10 games. And going for a second consecutive 3-game sweep here today as they take on the Red Sox right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound for San Diego. Let's hear from Padre manager Mike Shildt before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Mike Shildt today. So let's hear some of what Mike had to say yesterday. Obviously, like we alluded to, Padres in the midst of a really nice run. I think winning 9 out of 10, when a team does that, I think you can say they're hot. 9 out of 10, you're hot. So Mike Shildt yesterday was asked if this is the type of run the Padres have had in mind for a while.
We're just looking for continual improvement, and you get continual improvement, then you get all areas firing together, and you get people and guys working together, communicating together, and clearly playing together. So, had a great team at bats, good communication in the dugout. Michael was fantastic today, and of course Manny and some other guys put some big swings on the baseball.
You talk a lot about not wanting to do too much. How much easier is that to do when you know that the next guy, the way the whole team is kind of swing at the bat right now when you know the next guy's capable?
Yeah, when you have confidence in your whole roster, and guys in the lineup, then you don't feel like you got to carry the, proverbial mail. So it's just a matter of just taking your good at bat, knowing the guy behind you is going to take a good at bat, and you're going to do it, over and over and over again.
That was Mike Shildt talking about the recent run the Padres have been on. We'll talk more about Ha-Seong Kim in just a moment, but a good question yesterday during the post-game press conference with Ha-Seong swinging the bat better. Mike was asked about the impact of having Kim hitting better towards the bottom of the Padre order.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, we just talk about, the ability to for everybody to trust each other in the lineup and turn the lineup over, and as many guys that are having good at bats through the lineup is important, and Kimmy's clearly been able to do that with, look, is a lot of things are trending in a very good place for Kimmy. He's always taking his walks, but now he's even shrunk the zone even more, which allows him to get good pitches to hit, and he's having a good approach, so it's a really good combination.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after yesterday's game. We'll hear from Mike on our post-game show coming up a little bit later on as well. As always, you can tweet at me, Instagram, DM me, comment on our video streams. Let me know how you're enjoying Padres baseball on this Sunday morning. We have Diane saying blueberry bagel with whipped mixed berry cream cheese. All right, that sounds very, very yummy. We have another viewer saying, I just grabbed a mango twisted tea tall boy. So, hey, everybody enjoys their Sunday morning and some Padres baseball how they want. Hey, all's fair. It's a Sunday. It's a weekend. If you're not working, do what you want. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Jurickson Profar in the midst of a 20-game on-base streak, a 12-game hitting streak. Manny Machado in the hot category as well. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs last night. Last 10 games batting .415 with an 1164 OPS in that span. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs in the past 10 games. Batting .331, Manny is in the last 36 games since May 19th. The Padres are 21-16 since May 19th. So the Padres winning, coinciding with Manny just swinging the bat better. No surprise there. Ha-Seong Kim, like we said, hitting the ball better as of late. In the midst of an 8-game hitting streak, he's batting .345 in that span. Jackson Merrill, his last 16 games, 9 home runs, 18 RBIs, 12 runs scored. That's an 1182 OPS and .817 slugging percentage in that span. So a lot of guys in the hot category for the Padres. Nobody really in the not category for the Padres right now. I mean, nobody is ice cold in this lineup. As far as the hot category for the Red Sox, Connor Wong is batting .339 with an 11 RBIs during a 15-game hitting streak for Connor Wong. He will get the day off today, though, with Reese McGuire catching, day game after a night game. Ceddanne Rafaela hitting .392 with 4 RBIs and 9 runs scored in his last 14 games. Rafaela batting .314 in the month of June, so certainly he has been very, very good as of late for the Red Sox. In the not category, we've talked about Dominic Smith the last handful of days. Smith is just 1 for his last 16, and Smith is back in the lineup today for the Red Sox. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 10:35. When we come back, we'll hear from Bryce Johnson, one of the starting outfielders once again for the Padres here today. Plus, a little bit later, we hear from today's starting pitcher, Matt Waldron, as well. Our keys to the game, a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. Our pregame coverage continues when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We go out to Jesse and Tony in just a little bit less than 25 minutes here on the Padres Radio Network. They're standing by at Fenway Park as the Padres go for a 3-game sweep of the Red Sox today. Padres are also going for a 6th consecutive win. If the Padres win today, it would be 10 wins in 11 games. So we'll see if the Padres can accomplish all of that today with right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound. We'll hear from Waldron coming up in just a little bit. Let's take a look at the injuries for the Padres entering this series finale.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Let's get to the most pressing injury news, things that could affect really the rest of this road trip for the Padres. Randy Vasquez struck by a line drive in his start on Friday. As you may have heard, over the last couple of days, he came out with a right forearm contusion. The good news was that x-rays were negative, and certainly yesterday Mike Shildt didn't rule out the idea that Randy Vasquez could make his next scheduled start, but at the moment, we just don't know what his status is yet. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, but Randy Vasquez getting hit by that line drive, suffering the right forearm contusion. We'll see what the status is of Vasquez as the Padres make their way to Arlington, Texas for the start of a series against the Rangers on Tuesday. The moves from earlier this week. Tom Cosgrove left elbow inflammation, put on the 15-day IL. Padres selected the contract of left-hander Austin Davis from AAA El Paso. He's actually been very good the first 2 games of this series, couple of scoreless innings, so he's had an immediate impact. And also earlier this week, Joe Musgrove transferred to the 60-day IL. As far as Yu Darvish, he continues to throw back at Petco Park, as we learned earlier this week. He's coming off the little bit of elbow inflammation. Again, not totally clear on what the timetable will be for Yu to return, but we know based on what Mike Shildt said earlier this week, he is back here in San Diego and continuing to do his throwing and work back from dealing with first what was a left groin strain, and then while he made his way back from that, started to deal with that little bit of elbow inflammation. So that's a look at the injury report for the Padres. And again, the most pressing matter in all of that as far as this road trip is most definitely whether Randy Vasquez will be good to go for that next scheduled start. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We have one game going on already. Everything else is coming up a little bit later. Pirates ahead of the Braves 4-1 in Atlanta in the 5th inning. Other games that are starting in the next hour or so. Marlins and the Phillies in Philadelphia at 10:35. Ranger Suarez and his 1.83 ERA on the mound for Philadelphia. Astros in New York taking on the Mets. Rubber game of that 3-game series at 10:40. Luis Severino on the mound for the Mets in that one. Yankees and the Blue Jays in Toronto at 10:37 a.m. Garrett Cole will make his 3rd start off the IL for the Yankees. Kevin Gausman on the mound for Toronto. Nationals and the Rays in Tampa Bay at 10:40. Cubs and the Brewers in Milwaukee at 11:10. Guardians and the Royals at 11:10 in Kansas City. Seth Lugo on the mound for KC today. He has a 2.29 ERA this season. He's having a terrific year after a very good year for the Padres in 2023. Rockies and the White Sox in Chicago at 11:10. Garrett Crochet on the mound for the White Sox. Feels like he's going to be a part of many a trade rumor in the next month. Reds and the Cardinals in St. Louis at 11:15. Dodgers and the Giants later on today at 1:05. Tigers and the Angels in Anaheim at 1:07. Twins and the Mariners at 1:10 in Seattle. A's and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 1:10. And finally later on tonight, Rangers and the Orioles in Baltimore at 4 p.m. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have much more on all those games coming up a little bit later on during our post-game show. Let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. Final game of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Red Sox. We'll have our keys to the game coming up in just a moment. First, let's hear a little bit of what Bryce Johnson had to say on 97.3 The Fan on Friday on the Gwynn and Chris program. Johnson getting a lot of playing time with Fernando Tatis Jr. on the IL. The Padres bringing Johnson up from AAA El Paso earlier this week, sending Jose Azocar down to AAA, and Johnson is playing out there in right field pretty much every day, at least right now. We'll see how it all continues to evolve. And on Gwynn and Chris on Friday, Johnson, the switch hitter, told a great story about how he became a switch hitter.
Grew up, I could always switch hit. My dad would always swing me to the other side. Natural side's right-handed, but he'd swing me left-handed, and, we kind of fool around. He'd throw, and, I developed a swing that he noticed. Not obviously, growing up, I never, hit left-handed or anything, but he noticed it. And then high school came around. As a matter of fact, I tried out I think it was my junior year on varsity. I told our head coach, John Pope, I was like, hey, do you mind if I go up here? It was just a quick little scrimmage exhibition game before our season started. Do you mind if I go up here and hit left-handed and try it out? And he said, yeah, that's fine. Went up there, struck out on 6 pitches, left-handed, and told him I'm never going to do this again. You ain't got to worry about it. And then obviously went to Sam Houston. Never thought about doing that ever again. Went to Sam Houston, and then my sophomore year of college, our head coach, Matt Deggs at the time, had a huge glass window that you could see into our cages. And we were just about to leave for summer. And I was in there fooling around with a bunch of the guys, and I was hitting left-handed off the machine, and obviously somehow was, at that time, crushing the ball off the machine left-handed. He saw that, called me into the office before fall practice started and said, hey, I saw you hitting left-handed, and he goes, do you want to try this out? And I go, I've tried this before, and it didn't go well. So he said, let's go ahead and just try it, bunting with my speed and everything, just getting down the line and all that. And I said, that's cool. And we went all fall, kind of most of the time working on the bunt. And then about halfway through, I started taking live ABs and stuff, swinging. And then we developed a swing. And, ever since that happened, I haven't looked back since then. We took it into that season. And 2 days before our first game, he called me in and said, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yes. And we have ran with it since then.
That was Padres outfielder Bryce Johnson. Really good story there on how he became a switch hitter on Gwynn and Chris. That was on Friday here on 97.3 The Fan. If you want to hear that full interview, you can go and check it out at 97.3thefansd.com or on the Odyssey app. We'll also hear from today's starting pitcher, Matt Waldron, in our next segment. Let's give you today's keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number 1, keep the bats hot. Quite simply, the Padres have scored a combined 20 runs on 28 hits in the first 2 games of this series. Last 10 games, the Padres are averaging 7.3 runs per game, 10.9 hits per game, and 2 home runs per game. They've scored 4 or more runs in an inning in 5 consecutive games for the first time ever in franchise history. That was a great note this morning from Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune. Let's talk about some of the ways they do that. How do they keep that offense rolling here today? That brings us to key number 2, Mr. Kyle Higashioka. Let's talk a little bit about Higgy. How will Higgy finish this outstanding month of June? 8 home runs, 19 RBIs, and just 48 at-bats during the month of June. His last 2 games alone, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. His 8 home runs this month is tied for 3rd in the National League. But here's the thing. Out of the 5 players with 8 or more home runs this month in the National League, Higgy has by far the fewest at-bats. The other players that have 8 or more home runs this month: Shohei Ohtani, Jackson Merrill, Jeimer Candelario, and Elliot Ramos, but they all have more than 90 at-bats. Kyle Higashioka has 48 at-bats. So, a key to today's game, what does Higgy do? Does Higgy keep this offense rolling? He's been a huge player for this team in the month of June. That's key number 2. And key number 3, really in that same breath. The Padres taking advantage against this right-hander for the Red Sox, Josh Winkowski, and here's why. Winkowski, across 114 and two-thirds innings over the last 2 years, has a 151 ERA plus. Now, without getting too deep into ERA plus, just understand this. That's the 12th highest ERA plus in the majors in that span. So Winkowski, when you zoom out, you look at his work in the major leagues the last couple of years, has not been great. You look at the pitching matchup today, Waldron, who's been great for the Padres, knuckleballer, Red Sox have never seen him. Winkowski hasn't been great over the years for the Red Sox. You feel like the Padres, on paper, have an advantage in the starting pitching department today. Of course, we don't play these games on paper. But a key today, this offense, which has been so good, so dynamic, so electric, take advantage in the series finale against Winkowski. That's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back in our pregame coverage, we'll hear from Matt Waldron. We'll also dive deep into Jackson Merrill, tell you more about what he's been doing as of late. First pitch coming up at 10:35 at Fenway Park. Our pregame coverage continues after this. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We go out to Jesse and Tony in just a little bit under 10 minutes. They have first pitch, all the play-by-play coming up at 10:35 as the Padres go for a 3-game sweep of the Boston Red Sox. San Diego County Toyota dealers are proud partners of the Padres and supporters of the San Diego community, and we would like to especially recognize and honor the men and women who serve our country on this Military Sunday. Thank you, and go Padres. Let's tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? Can Jackson Merrill break the Padres' rookie record for the most home runs in a single month? That was set by Ryan Schimpf. 9 home runs in July of 2016. Merrill has 9 home runs this month in June. He's hitting .636 in the month of June. So that's what we're looking for here today. Can Merrill break that rookie record for the most home runs in a single month? We've often asked Jackson and thought about what has led to this recent power surge, right? Merrill has hit 9 home runs this month. Well, a couple of metrics to look at here. Merrill has more than doubled his barrel rate from May to June, from 5.3% to over 12%. He's also hitting more fly balls. His fly ball rate is up from 21.3% in May to nearly 33% in June. So he's barreling the ball more. He's hitting the ball more in the air. Maybe no surprise he's continued to hit home runs. And that's a look at what to watch for in today's game. Well, Matt Waldron takes the mound for the Padres here today. Of course, Fenway Park, the longtime home of Tim Wakefield, who passed away this past offseason. Wakefield threw over 3,000 innings across 17 seasons, won 186 games with the Boston Red Sox. His passing was a really, really sad moment for the game of baseball. A terrific, terrific knuckleballer. Matt Waldron and Tim Wakefield, they did have a relationship, and yesterday at Fenway, Matt Waldron spoke with Bob Scanlon of Padres TV, reflecting on his relationship with Wakefield.
Matt, how special was it for you to be pitching here in this ballpark where Tim Wakefield sort of established himself, and that was the pitch that's gotten you to the big leagues? What kind of feelings is it to be bringing your knuckleball here at Fenway?
Yeah, it's definitely very special. So it was hard for me to put into words, but I'm just experiencing, I'm being in the moment, and it's special. And I'm just grateful that I get to meet him, and I don't think that transition really helped talking to him, and he knew how to do it, so he was a great resource.
How did you first reach out to him? Tell us about that interaction. Did he show you his grip? What kind of things did he share?
It was everything. So we set it up in 21. I talked to him then, and I didn't know how much different nuances and things I could learn from him, and he just spoke and very clearly to me, and everything he said, just it hit the same spot. So I was surprised to see that he understood all the feelings I was feeling, and just having fun with it and learning how to compete with it on a pitch that isn't so competitive, I guess you could say. So it's been awesome.
Did you get a chance to share with him that you used to watch him on video games, and that's sort of how you became infatuated with the knuckleball? Did you get that whole story?
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things I said to him, so he chuckled about it and enjoyed that. But it's very true. He just that's how it started, and yeah.
Did you think about that when you were a kid, that I'm watching the video game, that I might actually be on that mound at some point throwing knuckleballs?
Absolutely not. My dream was to be a big leaguer, and I always thought, I'm going to throw hard. I'm going to get older, and I'm going to throw harder, and that didn't happen. So I just embraced that pitch a little more, and I think getting to learn how to trust it was the hardest thing. So he absolutely helped that out, and he was the best at doing it.
It's going to be a pretty special moment for you to throw that first knuckleball, I would imagine, knowing the background of that pitch and what it's meant to you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm getting chills thinking about that now, but yeah, it's come full circle, and it's been special.
A lot of very, very nice thoughts there from Matt Waldron on Tim Wakefield, his relationship with Tim, and Matt Waldron, who throws a knuckleball on the mound for the Padres here today at Fenway Park. Let's dive into this pitching matchup between Waldron and Josh Winkowski.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. Presented by Chimney Sweeps, Inc., San Diego's trusted chimney and fireplace service company for 40 years. Call Chimney Sweeps, Inc. at 1-800-CHIMNEY or book an inspection online at chimneysweepsinc.com.
Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres, 5-6, a 3.43 ERA in 16 starts this season. Last start against the Nationals, 6 innings, 2 earned runs given up, 5 hits. His last 9 starts, he has been terrific. A 1.95 ERA with a 1.88 opponent batting average. That's the 5th lowest ERA among starting pitchers since May 11th. This will be Waldron's first career start against the Red Sox. Arsenal for Waldron: knuckleball, four-seam fastball, sweeper, sinker, and a cutter. Meanwhile, on the mound for the Red Sox, right-hander Josh Winkowski, 26 years old, 1-1, a 3.26 ERA in 13 appearances, 3 starts in the major league so far this season. Began the year with the Red Sox, then was down at AAA, got called back up to make a start this week against the Blue Jays. He was good earlier this week, 6 innings, 2 runs given up. He struck out 8 against Toronto. Pitched against the Padres last season, 3 scoreless innings of relief, and the arsenal for Winkowski: a cutter, sinker, slider, changeup, and he'll also mix in the four-seam fastball. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. When we come back, Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show on the Padres Radio Network.